So welcome to the next video in this video series. In this video I'm going to be talking a little bit about the story of Noyarao and a little bit about my story of Noyarao, my personal experience, which I've touched on a little throughout this video series. But we'll just go a little bit deeper into some of the gifts I've received from the Noyarao vibration. So the story is, and I mean, don't quote me on this because I don't fully remember, but the story was once that there was a village of Shibibos and a deep sickness was coming down on them, and the Noyarao vibration transcended all the people from the village, and they left and went to a sort of Noyarao world somewhere. And there was one of the members of the villagers who had gone out hunting, and when he came back, they were all gone, had disappeared. And there's different levels in the Shipibo Kanibo way of working, and they call like a medicine worker who's done his apprenticeship 7 to 10 years an Onya, and then the next level I believe is a Banco, and then the last here is a Meraya, and they say there's no Merayas left anymore, and that's probably because of one quality of the Meraya, that they can disappear, they can make themselves invisible, which is interesting, how Noyarao took the people to another dimension in the way I see it, which would potentially make them invisible to this dimension. And I've been joking with a Karandoa of mine. He always seems to like disappear, like you can be talking and the next minute he's gone, he's walked away, and so I always ask him, are you practicing to be a Meraya? And he always has a bit of a chuckle and giggle with me. This is a small part of a story, and I will remake this video in the future when I'm more clearer on this exact story. But what I can tell you about Noyarao is that a lot of the Shipibo Kanibo kind of just thought it was a myth, and no one really believed in this tree, and a lot of people still believe that, and they don't believe people are dieting Noyarao. They believe it's something else or being confused with another tree. However, within the Mahur lineage, this is the Noyarao lineage. I don't know of any other families that work with this plant within their lineage. There's a guy called Benamin Mahur, and he inherited from his grandfather a pipe made of the wood of Noyarao, and I don't know if this is, but he's working with me right now, and I just found this pipe in the Maloka, and I've been told that it's a very small pipe, so this could be the pipe I'm talking about, which is like people that know about Benamin Mahur and the Noyarao lineage. This is like the holy grail, this pipe, in what it has brought through for so many people. So, so the Noyarao tree has not been seen by anyone for a very long time, and there was no known physical trees, and Benamin Mahur was he was working with a lot of sorcery, as a lot of people do on this path, and he inherited this pipe of his grandfather, I believe, again, don't quote me on these stories. I can only really talk about my inner experience and do the best to relay stories from the Chinese whispers that we get when handed down to us. And so he inherited this pipe, and as well as dieting trees, you can diet pipes, and you smoke with mapacho, and the airs of the wood of the pipe can be dieted, and you can receive a diet through this practice. So he dieted this pipe for 25 years, and Noyarao taught him how to clear all the darkness from all his diets, and come more into alignment. And a lot of Westerners nickname him Yoda, um, Yoda from Star Wars, like the leader of the Jedi Masters, and that's kind of how people see him, because he sits at the top of this lineage. And last year he turned 100, and over the last few years he's been touch and go, and then he died a few times. But this year his birthday falls on Christmas Eve. He will be 101, and I'm very blessed and lucky that he is holding a Noyarao diet for me currently. And I was going to wait into the future, but my intuition was telling me to come now, because this opportunity is really time dependent. And so so this pipe, my first maestro, and still is one of my teachers, Enrique Lopez, he married the daughter of Benjamin Maher, Bilma, and he was initiated into this lineage. Now, how people would receive a Noyarao diet was because of Benjamin's 25-year diet. People would perceive him and call him the trunk of Noyarao. So he would share a part of his diet with others so that they could diet. So what he does is he shares like an etheric chip from his diet. And this etheric chip, which I'm very happy to now have received, shares a portion of his diet and like initiates us into their lineage and into all the family Icaros, so that we become part of the family. And so my other maestro, Enrique Lopez, was initiated into the family in this way. And he smoked the pipe, and him and his wife were guided to buy some land years later. And on this land, he found 5 Noyarao trees, I believe. And one of the Noyarao trees fell, which the wood is being used for diets and jewelry, and it's really helping the extended family and bringing some income in. And he has one tree on his land, and then his 2 brothers have a tree on their land. So, and then there's another tree somewhere else. And so this tree is very magical to visit. And when you go into the jungle at night time, the leaves are luminescent, they glow in the dark. Now, some people explain it like Avatar. Now, it is not like Avatar, it's not that profound. But at the same time, it's really special to witness, and they really do glow, but not quite to the extent of an ayahuasca vision or an Avatar kind of vision. And it's really beautiful. And Noyarao is called the Tree of Light, and some people teach that it doesn't have light, but some people teach that it doesn't have darkness, but that's not in resonance with me and my findings from Noyarao. And how the tree has shown itself to me is it's enlightened. in the way it showed it. So what that means is the darkness and the light within the tree sit in harmony and balance, and they're untriggerable, which I believe is enlightenment. I don't believe anyone does not contain darkness, because we need the dark to perceive the light, and like the darkest of the darkest of the dark and the blackest of the blackest of the black that we can go as a soul, only the brightest of the brightest of the brightest of the brightest of the light can we shine. And I'm recognizing this on my journey by uncovering all the darkness from all of my lives and stepping more into my light through and really coming here to really do some serious work now in arranging this life with Noyarao. And yeah, it's really beautiful for Veneman that he got to go and visit the trees after dieting the pipe for so long. Quite the fairy tale kind of story. And he is a very he's a real true master, and a lot of people have dreamed of working with him, and right now I'm very blessed that with the launch of my retreat offerings and teachings, that it's being opened by this true master of my lineage, and I start the way I mean to go on. And I'm so blessed and lucky to have this opportunity, and I really want to share this connection with anyone that's interested, to really sit with this master and receive his activation and attunements of this Noyarao vibration. It's really a once in a lifetime opportunity, and yeah, I've been super excited to be here with the family and connecting to them all and the power of their Icaros. And I've had like 3 generations all singing to me at once, and it's only me here. I just all this attention on me. I just feel very lucky and yeah, and happy. So that's a bit about the Noyarao story, and I can maybe move now into my personal experience with the Noyarao vibration. And throughout this video series, I've been sharing little bits and pieces of my connection to Noyarao. This is a plant that I dieted for around 7 months in total now. And I plan to do a couple of years of diet with this plant before I work with another plant. And so, I mean, my story, when I first met Noyarao, that was quite an interesting story. So I was dieting Noyarao, and I was in the Maloka in ceremony, and this dark kind of spirit was attacking me, and I was quite scared. And what do I do? What do I do? But I've been taught how to use like Mapatra and Agafarida, but I wasn't working with it in that moment. And at the beginning of the ceremony, I felt this pressure building in my belly, and it just kept building throughout the ceremony. But it was very different to the pressure building of a purge. And then while this being was attacking me, at some point, just this energy just flew out of my mouth, and it was this like pure white light energy, like flying around the room, and it was like this cat-like yeti being, and it was like, I am Noyarao, and it like pushed away the being and presented itself to me. And the second time I met it on this diet, it was just here, and it had a real big head, and and I just looked to one side and I was like, oh my god, what the hell is that? And Noyarao felt the fear, and then it made its head really smaller and was kind of like a cat, like rubbing its head against me. But the Noyarao vibration shows itself in very different forms to me. I meet this little girl version of the spirit, and the Meraya, like king-like male energy, and all these types of different like Noyarao gods. One's this like alien-looking elephant being, and that has that has this like mirror on it that I can travel into infinite realities through this vibration. And Noyarao has loads of like rings around the outside of it. And I asked what these were, and I was shown that they're all the dimensions, and that Noyarao has access to all the different dimensions, and these rings represent being able to travel to all these different worlds. I mean, there's many personal stories I can share about this. However, I'm just going to keep it with one of the biggest practices that Noyarao showed me. Now, I will be sharing some of my taboo breaking with the Noyarao vibration, because the maestros that work with it, some of the maestros that work with it, maybe most of them, say that Noyarao does not like working with other medicines. So other medicines, I'm talking predominantly around other psychedelics, such as mushrooms, bufo, iboga, marijuana, wachuma, and so they warn their students not to work with it, because when they come back, the diets, their other diets kind of go out of alignment, is what I'm perceiving they see in ceremony from my own experience. Now, what I believe is, they don't really talk about the other medicines. That's my own revelation. They talk about wachuma and marijuana because they're aware of it. And I think the reason they don't talk of the other medicines is because they're not aware of those medicines. Now, I believe that the maestros, they have no interest in working with other medicines. So why would they go and ask Noyarao, is there anything that can be done to bridge these energies? So what happened with my Noyarao energy and working with other medicines is that Noyarao didn't go anywhere. It was like my strongest diet at the time, and singing and sharing vibrations with others, it felt the most power that was coming through me. However, as a face-to-face teacher, it kind of took a step back and wasn't there in a face-to-face role like I had now gained with Chuachaki, which I explained a bit about on the back of this last video. So so I said to Noyarao on this diet, the last diet I did, the 12-week diet I touched on in the last video, can I maintain the connection we have today and work with other medicines? And Noyarao said no. And in that moment, I said, well, no, I will not accept that for an answer. What can we do? Why, but why, but why? What, but what? Why? And what can we do to bridge this? And that's when Noyarao began to teach me how to make this possible. And what Noyarao showed me was that pretty much all of my diets, all of the other medicines I was working with, was not in alignment. It was out of balance, and it was more in the dark than the light. And it's pretty similar to my practice in clearing Chaitana, and maybe I would label this something slightly different, because the definition behind Chaitana is always sorcery, and it's not inherently sorcery. Why they're not in balance. So I feel a new definition would serve this area that Noyarao taught me about. So the whys, why are they out of balance, Noyarao? So the whys were working with other medicines. Okay, so now out of the medicines, like wachuma was the least likely to cause this to happen, whereas mushrooms, bufo and iboga were the ones that could open up more darkness within the diets. Now, it's not inherently the spirits of those medicines that are doing this, but by taking those medicines, I was blasted so wide open that the unhealed energies within me had more space to move around the psyche, and thus in those spaces they could penetrate into the diets and bring them out of the balance, because the diets are supporting me, teaching me, healing me and helping me, but the shadows within me don't want that. So if they've got more space to move around, they can find a weak spot to gain access into the diet and bring it out of balance. And all of these medicines as well, they're kind of like diets that we work with, and they were brought out of balance. So in total, I had about 40 diets. A diet is really just a relationship, but from working with plants and medicines, I was shown 40. And so I co-created a practice with Noyarao in meeting each diet and clearing the energy to bring it into balance. So once they are all in balance, I then asked the question with Noyarao, is it okay to work with other medicines and maintain this connection? And Noyarao gave me a massive thumbs up and said it's fine, it is okay. Now, I haven't discerned why ayahuasca is different to the other medicines, because it's not been affecting me. And I tend to go more into the questions of what's affecting me than what is not affecting me. But it would be interesting to find out the difference between why it's okay to work with ayahuasca and not be so affected, and why it's not okay to work with other medicines, because you can be affected. So that's what I did with Noyarao. And Noyarao also taught me practice. If I want to work with medicine, I can clear and bring it into balance before I even ingest it. And that's then also like working with other medicines. I can, like arcana my diets, like put a spell around them to keep them grounded and aligned, so that I go on the journey and the diet remains grounded in this reality while I journey, and less likely for it to be brought out of balance. So yeah, some really cool methods come through on this diet. Now, with the diets, like with the closing of a diet, they arcana the diet, but an arcana of the diet will not necessarily completely empower a given diet because of the free will aspect. And if a shadow within us fragmented and wanting to be in agreement with a shadow in bringing someone out of alignment, then it can happen. And also with plants, like the Chuachaki vibration, I said I was shown that he had an Orion incarnation in that system also, as a slightly different, like a mushroom-like being. And when I was working with curses from the Orion system, my Chuachaki diet was going into Shatana, and I was having to clear it. And then I made the connection. The reason that was because it's the same vibration as Chuachaki, and through that connection and free will, it was able to bring the diet out of balance. So there's a few different areas why diets can be brought out of balance, and sadly, a lot of Westerners are walking around with their diets in Shatana energy, which can really affect other people when we sing to them, when in that vibration. And most people, though, they'll come and diet once a year, and the shamans will clear it up. And I don't know shamans that really teach this. And so this is really important. I feel the importance of a diet, which I've touched on before, is like arcana to open, arcana to close, clearing of Shatana's alignment of diet throughout the period. But when the pasajero goes home, they're left on their own. And most come back every year and clean it out and straighten it out, but others stay away for years and work with other medicines and dip into other energies and stuff. And it can really bring them into funky energy, which again is their own teaching and karma. But I just want to do the very best in relaying and teaching, and not accepting things, but looking for solutions and methods and rituals to overcome any limitations that may be put down on us from others. And like I've said, like the only thing that doesn't exist is non-existence. There are no rules to shamanism. Anything and everything is possible. We only have to ask and journey and find the methods and rituals to gain whatever it is we want, and have harmonious relationships with different plants and different medicines, so that they can all work as a happy family. And this is what I've been working on co-creating to teach within this organization that I've created. So just to finish on that, Noyarao was teaching me towards the end of the diet around empowerment or protection, and I'm like, I don't need protection, I don't do protection, I don't buy into that, because like to think you need protection just welcomes a test of that. And so Noyarao planted that seed, and then I handed over the baton to Marusa and began my Marusa diet, and Marusa continued. And it was through a Brujeria attack that I realized that I needed to do more work, because as I touched on earlier, the weak spot was the coca spirit, and I'd cleaned this out and brought it into balance, but it was still a weak spot. And I've learned that all the plants have like empowerment guides. So I went on a journey and found an empowerment guide for every one of those 40 diets. They all have their own empowerment guide. Now, these empowerment guides, for me, they show themselves as animal form. But for me, they're not animals. They show themselves as animals to speak metaphorically. That's not to say there aren't animal spirits that we can work with. Of course there are. But within this framework, for me, they were shown as animals, and to speak metaphorically, and the qualities and how they could help those diets. And then like I said, being very inquisitive, who are you behind that form? And for me, they were humans and extraterrestrials. And then, so what was your trade from your parallel life? What did you do? And what they all are is they're like martial art experts, like army commandos, ninjas, like samurai warriors, sorcerers, shamans, and they're really badass. And these are the protectors of my diets. And when I look in the eyes, I recognize those eyes in my current life. So they're people I know in my current life from a parallel life where they had a certain quality that my diets are looking for. They have stepped into a place of service to empower and look after. And then I stacked up my diet. So the cocoa at the bottom, and then the next diet with the empowerment guide sits on top, and so on and so on and so on. So it becomes one. And for like a sorcerer to attack me, they need to go through all of them to get to the weak spot. Yeah, and so some yeah, I mean, one sorcerer that had been attacking me, once I'd done this empowerment practice, I did a ceremony with this person, and then they were just purging for the whole ceremony everything they sent to me, and I gave the empowerment guides full permission to do whatever they needed to do, and they believed that the sorcerer needed to taste their own medicine. Now, this is not something I would really agree with. However, spirit knows best, and it's not to come from a place of judgment, because a lot of sorcerers, they send back the fuel to the sorcerers. I don't do that. I transcend it. And this created a karma. But when I'd cleared all the curses from all the lives between us, there was one last thing I needed to do, which was clear that energy. And thus then the teaching and karma was fully complete, and they're not attracted to attack me anymore, and we've become really good friends. And for people that I may once have perceived as a perpetrator or enemy, I like them to become my friends, and I have a lot of love and compassion for them through the process, that I want to be of service and help and support them in any way. That's just the way I become from doing these practices. So this is like a tag team effort from Noyarao and Marusa, gifts from them, which I will share and teach with any groups that come through the organization. And yeah, I just can't say enough how magical the Noyarao vibration is. And Noyarao doesn't want to harm in any way, and doesn't want to suffer. And this was an interesting teaching for me also, because I was still attracted to suffering. There wasn't much space for Noyarao to come through, because Noyarao would allow me to learn from my other teachers that were teaching me suffering. And by coming on that diet to that decision, I will not learn from suffering anymore, then I could really maintain that connection with the Noyarao vibration. And what was really interesting at the end, towards the end of the diet, is the last 5 years, all of my teachings, everything, all clicked together like a jigsaw puzzle. And it felt like I was dieting for 5 years, Noyarao non-stop. And I've later learned that it's most likely because I am, because with each diet I'm doing now, I'm journeying back and opening the last diets I did so that they were never closed. And with the Noyarao diets, I've reopened them now so that they never closed. So it was like everything clicked together the last 5 years, and that Noyarao was forever there in the background, although not in a face-to-face role. And also, having cleared all the dark aspects of all the plants and stuff, then they all started coming through really clearly. And I was told by Noyarao, you will have the same connection now that you have with Chiwachaki, because this darkness was creating a resistance in you from receiving the full connection of your diets. So I'm super connected, much more today now, with all my diets, from doing this practice, and like really being on it. It is a maintenance practice, although I haven't had to do anything for a long time. But any tests that come to me will just give me opportunities of ironing this out so that it's not a maintenance practice and it's solid and done. And so with that, I will bring a close to this video. Thank you for listening, and there may be a couple more videos, but this is really the last video of this series. So thank you very much, and blessings to you all.